Good morning, welcome back to the channel. It's been a few weeks. I've been tied up with quite a lot of work recently, so I haven't been able to make any videos. But today I've come up to the woods around me, that are about 1.5 miles from where I live, and I'm going to try two new toys. Last weekend I took possession of a new 200 to 600 Sony zoom lens, and I also took possession of a 12 to 24. So I thought, what better thing to do? Bring them up to the woods and see what we can do with it. So I'm going to get set up and mooch around, see what there is to see. It's approximately 8 o'clock in the morning here. It's very humid and it's very misty, and I think there's potential for some quite nice woodland photography. So that's what I'm going to do. As you can see, I'm well equipped. I've got the whole set of kit, all of it with me, and I'm just going to experiment. So come along and let's see how we get on. It's looking quite promising, I must say. The trees are disappearing off into the mist, and that long lens at 600mm should make for some quite interesting shots. So let's see how we get on. Okay, I've got the 600mm set here, well 200 to 600 on the camera, on the tripod, and I've got a nice little composition which is 3 trees at different distances away from each other, forming a set of 3. The middle one's a silver birch, which looks quite pleasant because it's actually framed by a lot of these conifers, which are darker wood, and it's absolutely still here. There's no wind, there's no nothing, and it's making for a nice shot, I think. I've got to be careful with depth of field here because the trees are all at different distances away, and even stop down at f22. This goes down to f46 surprisingly, but at f22 I've only got about maybe I would say probably about 1 metre to 2 metres worth of depth of field, which isn't enough to get all the trees in focus. So what I'm going to do is I'll take one shot deliberately with the trees out of focus, and then I'll probably take a couple more to focus stack it, so that I've got one shot that's completely in focus from the front tree to the back tree. And then I'll probably I probably quite like the look of the image with the single silver birch in focus and the trees behind it out of focus. But you'll be able to see that in a minute. I'll put it up. But I must say, it's very quiet. There's no one here at all. There's one car on the road I passed that parked up. There's another dog walker, I suspect, and I've got Ozzy with me. And I can't hear anyone. I can't see any deer. I can't see anything at all, apart from trees and damp. And it is humid here, I can assure you of that. But this geared head, I've gone on about this before, but with this long lens on, it really makes a fantastic advantage because I can just make the tiniest little adjustments to the composition, both horizontally, vertically and backwards and forwards, and just get it absolutely spot on before taking the image, which I find a lot better than using a traditional ball head, which with this lens on it would sag as soon as you let go of it, and no matter how tight and how well made it is, and I've got some pretty well made ones, they tend to just drift very slightly once you tighten them up. So you have to start with the composition slightly wrong so that it drifts where you want it to be. Whereas with this I can just absolutely make the tiniest adjustments. And well, let me just make a little bit of video about how to put video mode on the A7R4, and let's see what I'm talking about. I haven't got the conditions or the settings correct for video, so let's just put it on to custom option 3, which I pre-programmed to be video. Now that should now, yes, that's now recording, and let me just demonstrate how delicate the movements are that I can make using this geared head. You see that? Just turning it very slightly and I can actually just suit the composition Interestingly, the video it's shooting is slightly narrower in the vertical direction this way. Well, it's horizontal if the camera was horizontal, but it's not. So what the video won't show the real picture that I'm trying to take because it's cropped in slightly on the left and the right. But if I switch that off, that's made the point, I hope. Yeah, so let me just reframe this image. I'll put it back into custom mode 1, which on my Sony is configured for landscape photography. So I just put it in custom mode 1. It automatically puts this in aperture priority mode and sets the ISO at 100, and basically it allows the shutter speed to float around as appropriate. Custom mode 2 I've got configured for any action or sporting activity, so it's automatically in shutter speed priority, and it's in ISO auto, and it's at maximum aperture, sort of widest aperture, so I don't get the higher shutter speed, and that I use infrequently. But custom mode 3, as I've just mentioned, is set up for making video directly. It's got all the settings correct for that, and I find it really handy to have those 3 things configured. So I'm back in custom mode 1, so I'm ready to take the shot. So I'll just reframe it, because while I was making that short bit I've just shown you, I've just moved it slightly, and I want to make it that now is the image I want to take. Set the focus point on the ferns in the foreground, and we haven't got a 2-second timer enabled. We need a 2-second timer because even with this sturdy tripod, it's still the tiniest movements really affect the image. So let's put it on 2, try again, there we go. 2 seconds is just long enough for everything just to settle and the vibrations to stop. And I never know whether I should have the image stabilization on or off on a tripod. Various people say that you should have it turned off. Other people say that it senses the fact it's on a tripod because of the motion it's detecting and corrects for that, but nothing more. But I've got it turned off at this point. But now I'll take the second image, and I'm going to focus on the actual trunk of the silver birch, which is there. And now I'll take 2 more images focused on the tree between the nearest and the furthest, which is that one. That's working, that looks good. Then move the focus point across to the furthest tree that is primarily in the frame. A quick check, because it's nothing more annoying than getting home and finding that you've actually taken the images, but you missed something, got the focus wrong, or you didn't check properly and you missed a shot you needed. So the distant tree looks to be nicely focused, the intermediate tree is nicely focused, and the foreground tree is nicely focused on each of the images, and the fern in the foreground is nicely focused. Yeah, that's good to go. So I'm going to move along now, and there's plenty here to take pictures of. It's interesting because it's it's about the 10th or 11th of August, and a lot of the ferns are already starting to turn brown, which is making a nice variation in the foliage that's in between the trees. So I might well compose something with a nice bit of slightly browny yellowy fern against a green fern. I can see quite a few and they all look nice, so let's get on and try that. Okay, so here we are. That little fern there at the side of the track, I framed it up I've got the camera here set nicely at the right angle, pointing straight at it. It's out at 400 millimeters at the moment, as can be seen roughly there, and I've framed up a single frond, that single frond on that fern, and that's what it's showing me, that's what I'm getting, and I quite like that. I think I like the colours in that. I like the way the background is darker so that it throws the fern itself into the foreground. I like the slightly autumnal colours on that, so I'm going to take that shot. 2-second timer, 1/8 of a second, f22, and here we go, there it goes. Quick check, make sure it's got it, and that looks tack sharp. That's fine for me. So as you can see, I'm on the little track that runs past this set of conifer trees on the left this side, and on the right we've got a stand of silver birches, and they're not showing much colour yet, so it's not late enough in the season for them to gain colour, but as you can see the ferns are really starting to look quite interesting. So I'm going to wander into the woods here, into the centre where it'll be quite dark, so the shutter speeds will have to be very long, and let's just spin you around. Oh, I do like this new vlogging camera, it is so good. This little Sony ZV-1. This is the first time I've really vlogged with it properly, and I'm really enjoying it because it's so organised around making video. I just flip the screen out, it automatically turns on. It's got a Bluetooth connector on. I did a video about using it a few weeks ago, but it's got this microphone which is wireless Bluetooth back to the camera directly, so there's no cables, no fuss, no bother. And as soon as I close the flip out screen, it automatically turns the camera off, which is really handy. It just saves time, so much easier just to get on with doing the work of vlogging. But as you can see, it is really quite nice here, and I'm enjoying being up here. It's a little bit sticky, it's a bit humid because it's rained a lot and it's still quite warm, but I think it's there's a lot of potential. I'm looking forward to getting into the woods, and I'll do a quick reveal of what's in my camera bag, and you'll understand why I'm carrying a lot of weight around today. So not only have I got all of this heavy lot to carry, I also have a vlogging tripod, and in here we've got the new 12 to 24 G master lens, the 24 to 70 G master lens, the 100 to 400 G master lens, a 2x converter lurking under those bits of cleaning equipment, and then we've got over here the K's filters, which I don't really have a need for today, so they'll be staying where they are. So I'm going to get into the woods and we'll get some more shots. Well, I think this is a nice, interesting little subject. I've got this little slightly yellowing fern here next to this old bit of tree stump, and it's nicely framed in the background by those darker logs over there. So what I'm going to do is set the camera up. In fact, I've set it up. It's here, and I'm out at about 600 millimeters again. I'm finding that a particularly useful distance, but let's have a look what we've got. Now, that's the image I'm hoping for, and just need to put a bit of negative compensation in there because it's just blowing out the highlights on the yellow very slightly, but that's 1.3 seconds f22, and I'm not really sure about this leaf in the top corner here. I think I might have to zoom in a bit further. I'm at 600 already, so let's just bring the framing down a bit more and bring a bit more foreground in to lose that leaf. And yeah, that's fractionally too tight, so I'll just zoom out very little, a small amount. And that's now starting to be what I think will be quite a pleasant image, so I'll get on with taking that. So 1.3 seconds, f22, focus on the tree stump. Hopefully the dog won't run right through the frame, which he's just going to. Nope, he didn't. Good. Okay, let's have a look at that and see if that's nice and sharp. And here we go. I'll zoom in because I'm not sure that fern's completely sharp, but the moss is nice and sharp, the trunk is nice and sharp, and the fern is slightly not sharp, so I'll focus on the fern and get a second shot. And there we go, 1.3 seconds again. Check that one, and I'll probably end up having to focus blend these because I want both of those elements to be completely sharp. In fact, what I might do is actually bring the aperture down to minimum, which is 6.3 widest, and focus stack that again. So there is the trunk in perfect focus, and let's have the fern in perfect focus. And we can see even at f6.3 the short distance between the trunk and the fern is clearly in that shot, not in focus, but the fern is. Anyway, I'm going to have a look around. There's plenty more images to be had here. Dog's whining, he wants his breakfast, so I'll have to take him home soon, but I think there's, I certainly think there's some more images to be had, so I'll get on and find them. I found a new use for the new lens. I've just taken it off the camera. It's in its bag and it's dangling off the hook on here. Well, it is now, and perfect stabilisation for the tripod. I've switched over to using, or I'm going to use, this new beast of a lens. Here it is. That is the new 12 to 24 G Master lens, and that is one impressive piece of glass on the front of that. 2.8, apparently it's the world's fastest 12 to 24 widest angle 2.8 lens that exists, and I've not really had much chance to use it yet, so I'm going to put it on the tripod and see what shots we can get using this little bad boy. Okay, I've walked around a little bit and I found something I quite like here. Just over my right shoulder, down on the ground, is a nice big fern, and that's it. A nice tree just behind it, and then coming in from the top there is this, I think it's an ash tree, maybe beech tree. Leaves nicely green and sort of forming a nice layer to stop your eyes being drawn out of the frame by these verticals in the distance of all the other trees. So I've got the camera set up, and as you can see, if I spin this round, the camera, which is just turned off, come back on, wake up, is only this far away from the lens. That's about 15-18 inches. So the fern is very prominent in the image, as you can probably see if it can focus on that. So the frond that's coming down here is quite nicely leading the eye into the picture and taking you up into the foliage above. It's a little bit blown out on this video, but that's quite a nice shade of green. So I'm focusing on there at the moment. You can see, you might be able to see there, and I'll focus stack it and then focus on the tree here, and then I'll focus on these overhanging leaves, and then everything in the distance can be out of focus. I've got it at f16, so I'm going to get a fairly good depth of field anyway, but I want to, as much as possible, get as much of the image in focus as I can. It really is very humid here. It's very, very sticky. I'm not a great lover of heat, I must admit, but anyway, I'll take that shot or series of shots and I'll put them up just in a minute. Well, I'm just walking back along the track, and there's a little junction that leads down another track past the other side of the same set of trees, and I noticed this fallen tree here, which, given the dark background in the woods behind, I thought made quite a nice image. And I've got the 12 to 24 still on the camera, so I thought, well, let's give it a real try. Let's get in really tight and really close in on this tree. And as you can see down here, I've got the camera set up and I've got all of it showing in focus at f11 from a foot away to effectively infinity. And the image is, I don't know if you can see that, there's a bit of a, there. I think that's quite a pleasing image actually. I'm quite pleased with that. So let's give that a 2-second timer. It's 30th of a second, f10 plus 0.3. I'll take it down a fraction to 0, compensation, ISO 100. There we go. Quick check. Yeah, that looks pretty in focus to me. Oh crikey, that is so sharp. Blimey, that's right tight in. That is a stunning lens. That really is quite something special. Anyway, I'll put the image up, and hopefully towards the end of the video now, I'm halfway back to the car, so we'll carry on, go home, process the video, process the images, and should be online later today, hopefully this Sunday. And I hope you enjoy the video. Thanks very much for watching, and please give it a thumbs up, as I say again, and if you like the channel, please subscribe to it. It does help, and the numbers are going up slowly. I'm nearly at 900 people following me, and I've got, what is it, 100 and this will be, I think, the 112th video that I've made, and that is since the 20th of December 2019. So I've been a bit busy. I've enjoyed it. It's good fun. Anyway, we'll see you on the next video.